welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited about today's video because I'm going to be sharing with you my coffee bar for spring and summer 2020. If you've been watching my channel, you may have seen the video that I shared a couple of months ago where I did a Rae Dunn haul. Of course, that was back before all of the quarantine stuff started and we could actually get out and shop. Well, I received a gift from my mom that she'd been out Rae Dunn shopping and found this honeybee mug, which I love, and it inspired the theme for this coffee bar. And so obviously it's the honeybee theme, and I love how it turned out. I made a lot of the items that are on the coffee bar since I couldn't get out and shop. I just used the things that I had on hand, and I did a tutorial video on those things. So after you watch this one, if you want to hop over there and watch that one, I will have it linked down below in case you see some things on here that you'd like to recreate yourself. So I hope you enjoy it. I love how it turned out, and let's get started on the tour. So I want to start out by showing you all what I plan to use on this coffee bar. And of course, no coffee bar would be complete, at least not for me anyway, without a few Rae Dunn pieces. So I like to set those out so that I can see what I have along with everything else that I plan to use. Now, this is a lot of stuff and I probably won't use it all, but I have things like different kinds of tea towels, this gnome that I DIY'd specifically for the coffee bar, so I'll definitely use him. Of course, this little beehive, I DIY'd that as well. I always like using my coffee grinder, a lot of pedestals to give things different heights, a few coffee signs that I have. I like this little house because it has the buffalo plaid. I DIY'd that as well. I have a basket full of florals that I'm going to be using to make a garland, and you guys will see that. So I like to start by cleaning off my coffee bar and then hanging up the main sign that I'm going to use, and it always hangs here in this same spot. And of course, this is one I DIY'd, and if you want the details on what I did to create this sign, this is the before picture, what it looked like before. I think it made a huge difference in how this looks and gives it definitely that farmhouse feel. But if you want to check that out, definitely go over and watch my other video and you can see how I gave it this look. Next, I'm going to be working on some of the chalkboard art. Now, I don't always complete it all in the very beginning, but down here on this level, I'd like to go ahead and get that out of the way before I get too many pieces on there and risk knocking them over and that sort of thing. It makes it very difficult to write on here or draw anything. But I typically go to Pinterest for some inspiration, but there just wasn't very much to choose from. I guess there aren't that many honeybee coffee bars, and so I just kind of looked at some different fonts and came up with a design myself. And what I initially was going for, as you will see here, I just could not get it right. It was very difficult to write anything on the very bottom because it was so close to the top of the coffee bar itself. I just could not get it. And so you'll see here in a few minutes that I completely scrapped that idea there on the bottom and go with something completely different. I tried several different things there and it just didn't work out. So this goes to show you, keep trying until you get it right, or get something that you love. And it, like I said, just did not work out, so I said, forget it, I'm doing something else, and I actually ended up loving how it turned out, and you see that here in a minute. But what I'm trying to do there is write a coffee bar on the bottom, and just couldn't get it. So, and I wanted it to be in a curve, kind of like it is there on the top, but I ended up not doing that, and I used a slightly different font, as you can see right here. And I actually like that better. I think it gives it a little bit more interest. And so now I am drawing a little bumblebee. I think he's very cute. And then I wanted to do some of those cute little dotted lines, I guess, in a flight pattern for the bee. And then after I did that, I realized that it needed to be coming from the bee and not the side of the writing. So I erased it and kind of started that over. but I think it added a really nice touch there and some visual interest to the chalkboard, which is one of the many reasons why I love having the chalkboard. And then I wanted kind of like a little tagline there on the bottom, and so I wrote "Buzz on in for a cup." I thought that was pretty cute. Next, I'm going to be showing you how I put together this garland that I'm going to be hanging here on the coffee bar. And I think this garland really sets the whole tone for the coffee bar. Now, I used Easter eggs to create these beehives, and I'm going to show you real quick how I did that using some jute string and some hot glue. I just started at the bottom and started hot gluing all the way around till I got almost to the top. And you can see here I've got a little space left, and I want to create a loop there, that way I can hang it. But most bee skeps, if you look at them, they have this cute little loop at the top, and it's perfect for hanging on this garland. So once you get that hot glued on there, then you just cover it up there all the way to the top with some more jute string using some hot glue. And then once you get all the way to the top, all you see there is the loop. Now for the garland itself. I am going to be using some things from the Dollar Tree and some florals from Walmart as well. I think all of the florals came from Dollar Tree except for the purple ones. And then you can see there on the floor, I'm using a beaded garland that I got back at Christmas at Dollar Tree. It has these little pearls like beads on there. And I'm just simply attaching the florals in a pattern that I liked. I kind of pulled them apart and glued them on and used some floral tape to create the look. And if you want a more detailed look at how I did this, definitely check out the tutorial video I did. Definitely show you more details on creating this. Once I had that completed, it was time to hang it up, and I used the brackets on the shelves. These are really great because they stick out just a little bit past my shelving, and they're great for tying on banners or garlands and that sort of thing. And I simply tied it on using some jute string, and then a couple more pieces of jute string I used to tie on the bee skeps, and that was it. Really simple. So I used 3 bee skeps and the garland, and it looks so adorable. I think it sets the entire tone for the coffee bar. Now it's time to start adding in the other decorative pieces. Before I finish that top shelf, I want to show you how I added a little embellishment to this bee skep. So I created this bee scap the same way that I did the ones hanging on the garland. I just used a flower pot instead of a Easter egg, and also showed some more details on that in the tutorial video. But once I had that done, I felt like it needed a little something else, and I wanted to add some florals to it, and I wanted it to match the garland, of course. So I pulled out a few of the flowers that I had used up there, some greenery, and a little bit of ribbon, and just simply hot glued it to the bee scap in this cascading downward sort of way. I wanted it to kind of hang off to the side. I thought that looks really pretty. I went on Pinterest and looked at a lot of them, and there's so many different ways people have attached flowers and different things to it, but this was my favorite for this one. And once I got those flowers on there, I went back in with my ribbon and adjusted it. Oh, I think one of my flowers came off, so I'm going back in with some hot glue, and now I simply am trimming it up so that the tails aren't quite as long, and put a little hot glue on there and attached it. Simple as that. So now I can put it up on the coffee bar. So I need my coffee bar to be functional because we do drink a lot of coffee, and I typically use mostly K-cups, but we have gotten into this instant coffee thing, this Deluna coffee, I guess is how you say it. I don't know if you haven't tried that. You definitely need to if you're a coffee drinker. It is so good. So I had this instant coffee that I didn't really like the container, but I wanted it to sit out. So I'm using a Dollar Tree jar. It's kind of a canister style jar. I love this jar. These are definitely one of my favorites to put things in, whether it's candy or whatnot. So I just tied some jute string around it, put the instant coffee in, and set it on the coffee bar. I think it adds a really nice touch. I also found these at Aldi. They are dark chocolate espresso beans. If you have not had those, they are covered in chocolate and are so delicious. I didn't like the container those came in either, and so I'm using another Dollar Tree jar and placing some of those in there. I'm going to set those on the coffee bar as well. I typically do a lot of candy on the coffee bar, but this time I thought those espresso beans would be a nice touch. And I must say, every time we walk by the coffee bar, we think we have to have one of those chocolate-covered espresso beans. I want to take a minute to go through the coffee bar with you and explain to you where I purchased a few of the items on there, which ones I DIY'd, and how I put it together. I know you just watched me do it, but some of the items you may have questions about where they came from, so I'm going to do my best to mention these. So on the first shelf, which is on top of the cabinet, this is more of the functional space of the coffee bar. And of course you've already seen the instant coffee. I'm also using this organic Rae Dunn colander to hold our K-cups. I have a little tea towel in there that actually came from the Paula Deen kitchen store. I have, of course, a few other Rae Dunn pieces. A canister in the back there that says coffee. That one is one that I DIY'd using my Cricut. And then, of course, there is my Chalkboard Art. And then I have a couple of decorative pieces back behind here that the little bee came from Walmart this year. He lights up, it's so cute. And then one of those houses that they had sometime last year at the Dollar Tree, and I simply added the buffalo plaid to it. Now on the second shelf, I have a variety of things up there. Some I DIY'd and some that I didn't. Of course, this gnome is one that I created myself, and I love him. I have not done a tutorial on how to make these gnomes, so if that's something you would like to see, please comment down below and let me know about that. I have made lots of different ones, and I would love to show you how to do it. So if you're interested, please comment and let me know, and I will put a video together to show you how I make these gnomes. Now next to that, of course, is that honeybee mug that inspired the entire coffee bar, along with this, I think they call them pot hangers, with this little bee on a ladder. I found him at the Dollar Tree, and then a little sign that I got at the Target Dollar Spot a year or so ago. Then next to it are some more of the canisters that I used my Cricut to add the Rae Dunn font with. And then on the opposite end, I have a couple of Rae Dunn mugs and a wire metal coffee holder that came from Kirkland's. And then one of those salt dough bees that I also DIY'd, and I show you how to do that in the other video. And then of course, hanging just above the second shelf is the garland. You guys have already seen that. I love the touch that it adds to the coffee bar, and I think it sets the entire tone and feel for it. It's that perfect mix of summer and spring, and I think that it will do me all the way until I'm ready to change it up for fall. Moving on to the top shelf, I always like to have out my antique coffee grinder. It has this little drawer on it that I can really add some interesting pieces to, and I always like to add florals there. On the opposite end, I of course have the bee scap, which you guys have already seen, along with a Rae Dunn canister that I turned around. It's actually for fall, and I added a chalkboard tag, and then of course a Rae Dunn mug and another one of the bees. Now here's the sign that I DIY'd, and I added some more of the salt dough bees that I created by hot gluing a magnet to the back of it, and of course it's a metal sign so they stick perfectly. That way it customizes it for this coffee bar, but I can still take them off and use them for some other purpose. And then this little honey jar I also DIY'd using a Dollar Tree glass piece and painted it, and then used my Cricut to create a decal in a Rae Dunn inspired font. Here's a final look at the coffee bar. I think just adding a few details to it really makes all of the difference. I hope you found some inspiration in today's video, and if you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and I also hope you'll consider subscribing so that I can catch you in future videos. I so appreciate you being here today and watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!